Hey everyone, welcome to the Killed Off Screen podcast. My name is Joe, and I'm joined by my friend, co-host, and witch hunter, Prentice.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast with the best horror news and reviews. Today, we're going to talk about a classic of the genre, The Blair Witch Project. But first, we have some news, I think. I think I'm just going to kick it right off because there's a big one. This was a quick turnaround between our last podcast, and we were talking about how there might not be a bit of news. But actually, there is a big one because the Oscars happened over the weekend, and Godzilla Minus One took home the first Oscar for the Godzilla franchise and a rare horror genre Oscar for, I believe, Best Visual Effects, which, well deserved, an excellently filmed movie, great direction, and the absolutely stunning special effects that they used to bring Godzilla to life were just truly deserving of it. Although I think this is one of those years where I looked at all of the options and there really wasn't a bad winner. So the fact that Godzilla came out ahead of some of the movies that it was up against is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm just surprised it's the first Godzilla movie in the franchise to win an Oscar. I mean, you think of all those classics like Godzilla versus King Kong and Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla and just so many top quality beloved classic movies. So that's a shocker to me. But no, in reality, I'm really happy for it. I loved the movie. I saw it a second time when they did the black and white re-release, which I think I enjoyed even more. I think I upped my rating a little bit when I watched it the second time. But yeah, great movie, great effects, definitely deserving. And beyond that, we have another big one. It was kind of inevitable for it to come up. Nev Campbell has agreed to terms with Spyglass. I don't know why I'm announcing this like a sports free agent signing, but Nev Campbell will be returning to Scream 7 after the release of several of their actors, or I guess if you want to call it a protest or a boycott or whatever, from Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega and Mason Gooding, and just everybody kind of backing out, and Nev Campbell will be back.
Yeah, and I don't know if Gooding was the director for the last few, right?
No, Mason Gooding plays Chad in.
Oh, okay. It's just because he has the
movies.
most forgettable name ever. Kevin Williamson's on to direct. She's got to have been paid so much money. It's got to be at least.
They threw a bag at her.
I mean, it's got to be like 8 figures. I'm guessing. It's somewhere in the $10 to $20 million range at least. So good for her.
Imagine it's
chase that bag.
Yeah, I imagine it's like the Jalen Ramsey thing when he was at the Jaguars and trying to get released, where they probably just rolled up to her home in like an armored truck, just full of, just several, just bundles and bundles of $100 bills stacked from the floor to the ceiling. Yeah, they definitely paid her a shit ton, because that was really her issue with the last one. She just wanted more money, and they were kind of like, well, we got Jenna, so, we don't really need you anymore. We have the biggest Scream queen right now, one of the biggest female actors in Hollywood, so they kind of viewed her as expendable. I'm kind of mixed on this because to me, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're getting beyond the reaches of this podcast, maybe a little into political territory. It maybe feels like a kind of a money over morals kind of thing coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I said to you when this news first dropped in over text, I said the funniest thing she could do right now, and arguably the best thing she could do, is get a clause in her contract that says that if they drop her from the production, they still owe her all the money in the contract, and then tweet out support for Palestine. That'd be pretty based.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll do that. I think
No.
From what I know of her as a person, she's pretty either apolitical or not outspoken at all about what her politics are. I don't think I've ever seen her really take a huge political stance. So, I mean, it makes sense for her to just put the politics to the side, and when a check is handed to her, that's worth it, she takes it. So, I mean, as long as she's not coming out and being making all the absolutely worst unbased takes, then I don't really mind. Chase that bag. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like the Scream franchise has kind of tainted what goodwill it had, after Scream 5 and 6. So we're going to have to see how this goes.
Yeah,
I think there's, oh yeah, go for it.
yeah. I don't plan on watching this when it comes out because I mean, like, fuck Spyglass. I definitely am not a fan after what they did with dropping Melissa and burning bridges seemingly with so many people. Again, like I agree with you. Good for Nev. Get your bag. She's been the lifeblood of the franchise for the longest time, basically since the beginning. So good for her. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I can watch it for free somewhere, I will. But I don't really plan on supporting this one. Just my personal opinion. Again, sorry for getting like kind of political on here, or if I am, for that matter.
Well,
But
to pull it away from politics, Black
please do.
Mirror's got season 7 coming out in 2025. 6 episodes confirmed. One will be a sequel to the USS Callister episode, which was really popular from season 5, I think. I didn't look it up, so if I'm wrong, just comment and tell me I'm wrong. I'll eat crow on that one. I think it was season 5. Really, that one was one that people really liked. I liked season 6 a lot more than I liked season 4 and season 5. I thought they kind of did their own thing a lot more than they were doing. It wasn't as much of the like phones bad, technology evil, don't be political, everything bad type stuff that they kind of fell into the lull of for a while, and a lot of it felt kind of unique. There was a fun one with werewolves, which was really fun and kind of not brutal, but like really grounded. It felt kind of real and gross and like a really good take on lycanthropy for me. I think I'm excited for this if they're gonna carry it forward into kind of letting it be its own thing and just kind of not leaning so heavily into the oophone scary kind of genre.
Yeah, I've never really watched a lot of Black Mirror. I know I watched the episode a while back. My sister showed me the one with Bryce Dallas Howard that like everyone kind of knows, the social credit episode. But yeah, outside of that, I've never really watched it. But yeah, I mean, I guess fans of the series are excited. Good for them. I mean, I'm always happy for people getting the content that they want, even if it's not something that I really particularly enjoy myself. But we have more new content coming. It is the Salem's Lot remake, which has been in production for a long time and kind of coming up the pipe for a long time. Directed, I believe, by Gary Dauberman, who's been a writer for a lot of different movies, like the Annabelle movies, a lot of stuff that to me did not blow me away when I saw his resume. But he directed, and it is going directly to streaming, which is really inspires a lot of confidence whenever you see that. I always think back to the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre debacle when they did a test screening and rumors came out that it was horribly received. I can only imagine why. And then Fede Alvarez was like, no, trust me, everybody loved it. And I'm not saying that because I'm a producer on the movie and I have a financial stake in this matter. And then they dumped it onto streaming. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, and doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I'm not excited for it. I think there's a lot of, I mean, let's look at it this way. Stephen King is the king of horror novels for a reason. He's written some absolute bangers. He's had his books adapted into some absolute bangers. Not all of his books need to be adapted, and the ones that have already been adapted don't always need to be remade, especially if you didn't really nail it the first time. Maybe that's a sign that it doesn't need a movie, not a sign that you make a sequel and try and plumb it for more money.
But it might work for us this time.
You're right. Let's
But
pay $20 million to make this movie.
yeah, one of those like, yeah, it hasn't really worked out for this person and this person, but maybe we'll be different. We have no reason to think so, but we'll be different. But yeah, I doubt you're going to outdo Toby Hooper when it comes to Salem's Lot. It's a very high bar to clear. But, I mean, we'll see. Like I said in the last episode, I always try to be open-minded, give everything its fair share and a good shot. And we also have another Smile movie by Parker Finn. Forgot his name for a moment. And it is a sequel. I admittedly still haven't seen the first Smile. It's
Oh, I
I should
liked it.
watch it soon. Yeah, I should watch it soon. I didn't check it out because it seemed like it was just gonna be really dumb. It was kind of in that fire starter camp where I'm like, I'm not gonna take time out of my day to go to the theater to watch this. But it's kind of divisive. There are a lot of people who were like, "Yep, it's exactly as it seemed, and it's really dumb." And you have other people who were like, "No, this movie's actually a masterpiece, and it's like way better than the trailers and stuff made it out to be." But yeah,
I
maybe I'll
think
check it out one day
if
and form my own
I think
opinion.
Smile is a movie where if you can get past the premise of you smile and then you die, or you see people smiling and then you die, or they die, that's like if you can get past like, ooh, smile is creepy, and get to the movie itself, it's really good. You know, I'm a sucker for creature design, and there's a really dope creature design right at the end of that movie, which I love.
So you're biased.
Yes, I'm a little biased, I admittedly. But yeah, I think that it's definitely worth a sequel, and I'm intrigued at what they'll do with the sequel. I think the fact that it's a sequel kind of like, okay, we're talking about the fact that it's a sequel, so spoilers to everyone else. They don't win in the end. They don't kill the smile demon. So there's just, I imagine it's just gonna be more smile demon in the next one, but really I can't see a problem with that as long as it's not like, I don't know. I don't want to. I'm trying to pick a franchise I can call out without people being mad at me. Fuck it. As long as it's not
There's
like Friday
none.
the 13th where they just keep doing the same thing over and over again until it gets old. Like I think there's potential there that they can plumb into.
Yeah, Friday was a good pick by the way for that
Yeah.
comparison because I don't see a lot of like really diehard Friday fans like I do like Halloween fans. If you would have gone with Halloween, you would have had a bomb on your doorstep by the end of the night. But yeah, that's a good
From
job on
you.
that one. Good way, good way to sidestep it. But yeah, I'm not really hyped. I'll check out the first one at some point because the second one's coming out, and then we'll see what's going on. But I don't know. It seems like a peculiar choice just because I think the first Smile was one of those situations. I know it came from a short film. I think you told me about it. And so it seems like one where there was a lot of work that went into the first one, kind of like for Squid Game, where the dude who made it spent like years and years writing it. And then the first season dropped, and now he's making a second one. So it doesn't give me an expectation of quality anywhere near the first because it's more rushed. Like, okay, the first one was successful, so now we need a second one. Like, hurry up and go write this and go make this. But again, we'll see. But I think that actually wraps it up for my horror news. If you have anything else, Mama is one of them.
Mama, yeah, he's so they've done some interesting stuff. I think they've hit a pretty decent range of being like middle of okay to pretty good. So I'm
I would
intrigued
agree
to
with
see
that.
what they can do going forward, especially with a label and a production company behind them. I'd like to see them bring a couple more people in to this, but I'm excited to have more competition because for me, really, when I think of like horror labels, I think of that are like specifically horror. I think of A24. I kind of think of Neon. I think of Blumhouse, and maybe I guess whatever Jordan Peele's production company is. I think Monkey Paw
Oh,
might be what it's
Monkey
called.
Paw, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's also Atomic Monster, I believe, by James Wan.
pretty
But I think
good.
that
Yep.
goes under Blumhouse. I think it's like the same
Yeah, I think they're a
parent
subsidiary.
company. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good word. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to have a competitor in the market who seems to know what they're doing. Skydance makes good movies. They're a pretty solid production company. I think they take just enough risks on movies and they don't put out a bunch of stinkers. So I'm excited about this. I think this for me is the news of the week outside of like Godzilla -1 winning best visual effects because hell yeah. But for me, this is kind of the news that I'm thinking, like, for the future of horror, I'm the most excited about.
Yeah, let's raise a glass, folks. We got another horror movie that won a effects award. It's about the most we ever get. So we exceeded the typical expectation for horror at the Oscars. So let's all celebrate. But yeah, I think wrapping that up, are you good to go ahead and get into our Blair Witch Project discussion?
Let's do it.
Okay, so what do you think personally in terms of our normal rating system?
Okay.
Is this
yes.
a off-screen death for you?
I
Or
think
we get the gory
we
goods?
got, as much as there may have been some off-screen deaths in this movie, I think we definitely got the gory goods. I love this movie. I think it's so good. I think if I could go back in time and find whoever invented the Razzies, I would take out both his kneecaps with a golf club. Because how the fuck did Heather Donahue get a Razzie nomination for this?
She's so good in this.
Yeah, this movie fucking rules, and everyone in it's good. Like, this is,
Yeah.
I think this movie has a Guinness World Record for the top, like, amount spent on the movie versus amount made by the movie. Like, the ratio
Yes.
is so insane with how much money they made. It's insane. There's only 3 of these. That was one of my other thoughts when this movie ended. It's insane there's only 3 of these because they fucked it on the second one.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
you got to
God.
think the amount of money you can make. Some production company would have been like, "Look, we'll give you $10 million. Can you make 12 more of these?" And they'd have been like, "Yeah, sure."
If it was
That's
made
crazy.
nowadays, that would have happened. Or if it was made in like the early 80s and they worked with Paramount or something. But yeah, this was like well under $1 million. The figure I'm seeing is in between $250 to like $750,000. And it made like $250 million. So yeah, like Prentice said, it's like the highest ratio of budget to gross box office revenue, and for a good reason. And that's a big reason why we're talking about this movie. It may seem like a peculiar choice because obviously the movie itself, in regard to the plot and the events, there's admittedly not a whole lot to talk about and to really analyze or break down. But it's just because this is a very divisive movie, and it always has been because of the presentation, the marketing, everything behind it. A lot of people say it hasn't aged well. Like, you go to watch it now, and like it's idiots just running in the woods. And I guess if you want to oversimplify it that way, you can. But like, no, this movie really, really got to people. Like, Heather Donahue's mother at the time got like a letter from someone like
She
offering their
got multiple
condolences.
sympathy cards
Yeah, like
for people who thought she died.
yeah, there were a lot of people who thought this shit was real. They used their actual names in it. They did the Cannibal Holocaust thing where they didn't do any kind of marketing or media appearances during the post production or during the marketing run and the theatrical run, which is a brilliant choice. They use the internet really well. I think that's the thing that really impresses me the most. This is 1999 internet. You know, a lot of people watching this we're not even around in like 1999 and couldn't tell you what the internet was like then. But yeah, it was one of the first movies to really do that with a viral online marketing campaign, posting the actors as like missing and presumed dead or something like that. They were so far ahead of their time, combining that with the full movie being the found footage presentation. It's like the first big movie to do that.
This movie did a lot of things for horror and just kind of for cinema in general. As far as I know, this is one of the first big, like, small project, in quotes, films that really made a huge amount of money back and kind of incentivized kind of not like small budget movies, but like purely independent. Like, this is 2 guys who had an idea, got 3 of their friends who were actors to go out in the woods with them, filmed for 8 days. This movie took 8 days to film. And then fucking wrapped it, edited it, sent it in, and made $250 million. Like, they did not have a production company. They spent $60,000 out of their own pockets to make this movie. And they made, between the 5 of them, $250 million. And people have tried to do that since, and hasn't worked great, but a couple people have done it. And it also really was the boom for found footage. This kind of invented found footage movies the way that we think about them now. And that's because this is actually found footage. It's not people trying to make a movie that seems like it's found footage. Cough, every found footage movie that exists right now, cough. Uh, like, I honestly, more people should do this. But let's talk about the plot just a little bit. There's a town in the Midwest. I can't remember if it's Massachusetts or not the Midwest, the Northeast.
Maryland, I believe.
Maryland. Where there is a forest where a bunch of kids apparently were killed in the past. There might be a witch that lives up there called the Blair Witch. And these 3 college students, I think, are getting cameras to go up into the woods and film their own like mini documentary about it over a weekend. They're going to be there for like 2 days, and then they get lost in the woods and they start getting fucked with, and there might actually be something out there. Who knows? I don't want to go into spoilers yet. There is a bit of a spoiler for this movie, at least the last like 10 minutes of it. So I'm going to leave it there. But this movie fucking rules. If you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. It's a blast. It's short. You can just knock this movie out. It's super digestible. If it's not gory, that's one of your hangups on horror movies, it is scary. Like, I was unsettled by this movie, and I've seen it like 5 times. Like, this movie fucking rules.
Yeah, I got to watch this in theaters like a couple weeks ago. The local theater here did like another screening of it, which was awesome. You know, I always love when I can go watch an older one that was kind of before my time. I mean, I was around with this. I was around when this came out, but I was like 5 years old, so you know what I mean. But you know, still before my time. But yeah, I got to see it, and yeah, the ending is still really scary, really effective. A lot of the tension between the characters is still very interesting. It keeps it good to follow until we get there. Ending holds up, movie holds up. Yeah, like I think we definitely, again, not literally, but in terms of our rating, we got the gory goods. This movie freaking rules.
Yeah, after I finished watching this, I sent Joe an image and I was like, this is still a certified hood classic. Like, this is this is a classic of the genre. I think honestly this might have been one that was an instant classic. Like, just immediately came out and was a horror classic on release. And I love, we talked about the marketing. There's a lot behind the scenes of this movie that builds into the mythos of it. So how this movie was filmed is incredibly interesting. And I think it deserves us talking about it. These 3 actors, man, it must have fucking sucked to be them. They were essentially given a little bit of a script. They were given like 10 pages of script for an 8-day shoot. They were given a walkie-talkie each so the directors could keep in contact with them and so that they wouldn't get lost. Spoiler alert, they did get lost during production at least 3 times. And basically just sent into the woods with like, film this thing, just do this and film this. And the directors spent 8 days just fucking with them. Just absolutely fucking with them. There's a scene like halfway into this movie, like 45 minutes into this movie, where they're sleeping in a tent and the tent starts to shake. That's literally just the directors outside shaking it. They weren't told that was going to happen. It's in the middle of the night, and they're genuine. Like, all of their fear is genuine. Like, 80% of the time that the actors are scared on video is them really being scared on video. Like, they're not acting. They're genuinely terrified because they don't know what the fuck is happening. Which is great. Like, that's amazing. I don't know how you can continue to be friends after that, but that's great. Like, that's how you make a convincing movie.
Yeah, I think they did continue to, be cool with each other afterward. But yeah, not only that, but they also gave them rations that they dwindled more and more. So they gave them like less and less. So they were kind of more crotchety. They were more angry. So some of like the bickering or the arguing you can see is also kind of authentic because they're just hungry and in a shit mood like anybody would be. And yeah, you kind of alluded to it earlier. This is definitely one where the story behind it is far more interesting. It's kind of like The Evil Dead, maybe, where the movie itself isn't as interesting as the legacy and what spawned from it. Because I would argue that really Paranormal Activity blew the starting whistle when it came to like all the knockoffs. It's kind of like Halloween and Friday, right? Like Halloween inspired Friday, but the slasher boom didn't really start until Friday copied it and showed how much money you can make being a copycat, and then everybody else wanted to be a copycat. Kind of the same thing. Blair Witch Project popped up on the scene. To some degree, it came and went. You still had found footage movies that came up before Paranormal Activity's theatrical release, like Wreck, for example. And then Paranormal came out, made a boatload of cash, and that's when, like in the early 2010s, you really got that big boom. But still, for sure,
it was Paranormal, Cloverfield.
Yes, Cloverfield's a great one to bring up too.
Those ones were like, hey, you know what? Wreck and Blair Witch were really popular when they came out. What if we did that, but like made money off of it?
Yeah, and Cloverfield also had a really crazy viral marketing campaign as well when that came out. I don't remember it as fondly, even though I was older, just because the Blair Witch one is just more memorable to me because it did the Cannibal Holocaust thing. But yeah, it's 3 characters. It's Heather, Josh, and Michael. They're getting together to make a documentary film about the Blair Witch in Burkittsville, Maryland. And I like the beginning of this a lot. I firstly enjoy the one camera with color and one with black and white. And I think the switching kind of adds to the tone and the mood quite a bit, especially at the very end when they're in the Griggs house, which was the name of the actual building. And they switch like the black and white camcorder footage with like all the handprints on the wall, like really spooky, really scary stuff. But yeah, I like it a lot in the beginning, and I enjoy how they took some actual residents and then also put in actors. And I mean, I can't really tell them apart, so job well done. Yeah, they did really well. I really like the build up for this as well. Like Heather's kind of narration, her kind of histrionic, very played up narration for the couple of scenes where she's in front of the camera, like at the beginning in Coffin Rock. I like all that a lot. I really like the build up for this.
Yeah, I think part of the thing that's so great about this is none of the actors, so the people from the town knew, but none of the actors that were brought in, including the 3 main actors, they didn't know that this was fake, that there wasn't a Blair Witch myth. The directors and director-writer duo made it up completely. It wasn't real at all. But everyone in this who was an actor did not know that until the movie came out, which I think is great. I think that's excellent. Like, again, they fucking tortured these actors, but it worked. Like, Kubrick might have been onto something. I know there's like multiple people in Hollywood who were like, I want to dig Kubrick up and beat him to death again, but he might have been onto something with torturing your actors, because like this movie fucking slams, and a lot of it comes down to how much everyone is bought into this so much, whether or not they're choosing to buy in or whether or not they really don't have a choice because they're genuinely terrified. But like everything in this movie, advertent or inadvertent, just builds into how good the movie is, how good the mythos around it is. I think some of the best scenes in this come from accidents. Like, we all know the scene where Heather's filming herself and she's apologizing to Mike and I've already forgot his name. Yeah, she's apologizing to Mike and Josh's moms, and then she's saying to her parents, like, I love you, I'm sorry. That's an accident. The way that scene is shot, she didn't realize she'd accidentally zoomed in. So her whole face was supposed to be on camera, but it's like zoomed in and you just get like her nose and half of one of her eyes and the right side of her head. And that's
iconic framing.
That fucking rules. If they'd done that the way that they were supposed to do that, it wouldn't be as good. And that's why this movie's kind of lightning in a bottle, because you can't accidentally do that again. If they'd reshot that, it'd have been worse. There's a scene where they're running out in the woods and they're supposed to pan over and see the fucking directors in a fucking gown, like running through the woods scaring them. But they're so scared that they forget they're supposed to pan over and they're just fucking booking it through the woods. And that's better. That's better than if they'd panned over. And you can't do that on purpose. And that's what's so fucking awesome about this movie.
Yeah, and it makes me think of a quote. I can't remember who the fuck said it, but luck is the residue of design. And that basically means, like, when you set things up really, really well and you think about as many things as you can, it gives you more of a possibility and more chances for things to work out well that you didn't originally anticipate. And it's exactly what Prentice is mentioning with the examples that he gave. They really thought of so many things with this, like how he mentioned they didn't tell the actors about the Blair Witch myth and how they relied so much on improv and they kind of hired them based on their ability to improv. Like they sat them down for the audition and they would just kind of ask like a random question and just see their response that had nothing pertaining to the movie and just see their ability to improvise. How they scattered in real actors among local residents for the interviews, the way, like the kind of way they messed with them by kind of dwindling their food more and more. They thought of a lot of shit, a lot of things that I think most people wouldn't have thought of when it comes to making any movie, let alone one like this. And that's, again, not even talking about, again, the marketing and just all of the, again, I said it again, like, or I said it earlier, this movie was so far ahead of its time. And that's why I do hate when anybody rags on it, because now this movie's great. This movie is so much with so little, and it's very inventive. It's imaginative, despite what you may be seeing on camera, which again can be kind of boiled down and oversimplified to people just running around in the woods. But no, all of that, the performances are great. And I really like that scene you mentioned of Heather's apology, because it's also kind of character development for her. Like throughout that entire movie before that, she's like, no, I know exactly where we are. And she's kind of playing like the almost pompous kind of like bossy director character. And like that's the moment when she finally breaks down and is like, I fucked this all up. I got us lost. I did this. I dragged them out. And yeah, it's a really emotionally impactful moment for that reason. It's a really good payoff to that setup of Josh, and more so Michael. Like he's the one who's like really on her for the most part, even from the beginning, like really ragging on her to kind of like break down in that scene. But yeah, it's fantastic.
I think as well, like, this movie's worth watching just so you can read through its trivia page at the end. Because there's so much. If you weren't around to watch this movie and like follow it as it came out, and how this landscape changed and everything was learned about it afterwards, there's so much going on with this movie in the background. So I misspoke. They didn't get a script. Every single line in this movie is improvised. They were given a 35-page pamphlet that was like the mythology of the Blair Witch and the location they were going to kind of prepare them. But they weren't told a single line to say. So fucking, first of all, kudos to the actors in this movie, because there's some fucking banger quotes in this movie that no one really gets credit for the way that they really should. Like it's great. There's like we talked about the whole like monologue that she gives where she's like, I want to apologize to Mike's mom and Josh's mom. Like that's all improv, which is fucking insane. I think that's like top 5 improvised monologues of all time. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. I'm sorry to cut you off. There's a reason it's been parodied in so many things, like countless things. That shot and that whole apology and monologue, like, yeah, it's iconic for that reason.
Yeah, but then you look in the trivia, and they also must have been having, like, as much as they were fucking terrified about 60% of the time they were shooting this, they must have also been having a really good time. Just enough that it was bearable. Because you look at some of the stuff, like, they were in character the whole time. They'd all three of the and that was something the actors agreed on. That wasn't something the directors made them do. The actors all said, we want this to be as believable as possible. We're going to stay in character the whole time. If one of them broke, then they would break character to get everyone like cut back on page. Or they had a safety word that all three of them could use to kind of get out of character and kind of lower the temperatures a little bit. And the safety word was taco, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just like people watched this movie and were so convinced that it was real that they went to Maryland to try and find the Blair Witch in real life. And that's the plot of the second movie. Like, I wish the second movie was good, because that's great. I love that. But yeah, this movie's a banger. We should talk about the ending. So I think
Yeah.
everything from here on is going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen this, you should go see it. There's not a ton that can be spoiled, but like, go see it. This movie fucking bangs. It's like a solid 8 or 9 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah, the ending, like I said at the beginning, it still holds up. So we have to say that about 2/3 of the way in, Josh goes missing. They notice he is gone one day. And in that, they basically, this is like you were saying, they didn't give script pages, but they gave kind of more vague instructions. And for some of the things, it would be to all three of them. And for others, it would be things that were secretly given to one actor, being like, hey, don't tell the other two this, but you're going to do this. And they gave one to Josh saying, like, okay, this is where your character's going to die. So we're just going to, like, we need you to, like, sneak off in the night and we're going to pick you up and, like, take you home. And, you're out of the movie. So yeah, Josh goes missing one day. He accidentally kicks over a pile of rocks. That is, I forget the word for it. Cairns, I believe. They're like part of like a burial ground type of deal.
Yeah.
And he, like, you know what I mean? Like, and he
Oh, Cairns.
kicks one
Yeah.
over accidentally. Yeah. And so after that, I guess he's marked. He notices there's like goo all over his shit or something one day. And then he just kind of goes missing. And then it's just Heather and Michael. And I really love that choice because they're the ones who have had more of a beef. And Josh is the one who is like, he's had his moments, but he's the one generally trying to keep the peace. And I love the decision to take him out because now the tension is even greater because it's the two who have had more of a beef who are left with each other without their third guy to kind of calm the tension if things get out of hand. And then the next night, they hear screaming. They hear Josh yelling in pain and screaming. And it's just, again, like you mentioned, just the camera shots in the dark. So simple, but it sells it so well. And they get up that morning, and Heather finds a bundle of sticks with Josh's shirt as a wrapping to keep it together. And I forget what's in it. It's like his tongue or like his jaw or something on the inside or like teeth.
It's
Either
teeth,
way,
yeah,
it's
it's a bunch of, it's not super clearly seen, but it's like a
it's
bunch of
not.
blood and teeth wrapped in leaves underneath one of these stacks of rocks.
Yeah. And so Heather finds it and, makes a very kind move to not tell Michael about it, to not stress him even more because, again, he's the one who's been like office rocker. Like there's a scene where he kicks the fucking map into the river and he's like laughing about it. He's like completely lost his mind. So the next night they come, they follow yells and screams from Joshua and they go to the Griggs house. And again, in like the black and white shots, it looks so creepy and so effective. And they go in and they just keep hearing yells and screams that come from like different areas of the house. So of course, to us watching, it's very obvious that it's not really Josh. Josh is fucking dead. And it's why Heather is trying to stop Michael because she knows it too, because she saw the, you know, parts of Josh that were disassembled and taken from his body. And Michael doesn't. So he thinks he's alive. He's trying to find him. Michael hears the screams from Josh in the basement, follows him down there, and the camera is like knocked from his hand. So like he's knocked down. And then it cuts to Heather's camera, her POV. You know, she's been chasing and following Michael downstairs. She goes into the basement, the camera pans, and it's Michael standing in the corner, which was something that was alluded to earlier in the movie with a murderer named Rustin Parr, which was an anagram for Rasputin. And so it's another setup and payoff from the very beginning when they were doing their interviews. And so she sees Michael standing in the corner, facing the corner, screams, and then again, either she is knocked down or the camera is just knocked out of her hand. And I love this where when the camera drops, you can still see Michael in it, and then it just cuts. There's no epilogue, there's no denouement, there's nothing. It just cuts, and that's it.
Yeah, I'll say I understand why people hated this when it first came out. This ending,
Definitely.
I think this ending, with the benefit of hindsight, has gained the most of almost any movie ending. Just with age and hindsight and people taking more time with it and mulling it over more. I think this is a masterclass in restraint. And I think even if they had an extra $1 million, they probably wouldn't have shown the witch. And I think that's fucking excellent. I think that's perfect. I will
Yeah.
say they did a couple things in that scene as well that I really love. you hear when Mike, so it cuts, there's an extended period of Mike running through the house where you just hear Heather behind him yelling. And then Heather's, it seems like she's maybe coming from two places. You can't really tell with Mike's camera. And then Mike's camera gets knocked down. He's obviously been Blair Witched. He's looking at the corner. That's the end of him. But then it cuts to Heather's camera and she's still screaming from somewhere else in the house. And I love that. I love that as a detail. That's so fucking good. Like, that gives me chills just thinking about it. Her running through the house, hearing herself yell for Mike from somewhere else in the house. That's amazing. That's like, there's just so many little details in this movie that are just excellent, and that's one of my favorite.
Yeah, and it's something that, again, completely disproves the hater notion that, like, oh, this movie sucks. They just gave cameras to, like, a couple of idiots and had them run around, and they made, a more $1 billion off of it. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. Like, again, it was heavily improvised, but they had at least a framework of what they were going to do for this movie. And they did have that plan and that structure in place. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the ending kind of reminds me, maybe a weird one to bring up, but I think we've watched Cure together, right? I think I showed you that one. Yeah, like, it reminds me of that, where like at the very end of that movie, like the waitress kind of grabs the knife and then it cuts to end credits. And I've watched that movie with people and they're like, that's it, that's so lame. And I'm like, It's everything you need. Like, it's perfect. Like, it gives you everything that you need and nothing more. And I love that so much. And yeah, it makes it so much more eerie as well. Like, in the theater, it was so much more effective. Just that final shot and just cut to black. Like, that's it. Mm-hmm. And just everything was silent in the theater. So effective. You couldn't have ended it a better way. And like Prentice said, it is a great exercise in restraint that you seldom see, especially nowadays.
Yeah. And I think what's even better is they filmed this in October in Maryland, so it fucking, like, not ideal conditions to be filming in, but not like the peak of winter, really. They kind of hit the prime of fall for this, which, excellent choice. I don't know if that was intentional or what, but they chose the perfect time to film this. The mood is excellent throughout. And they actually wrapped filming with this scene on Halloween night. And they weren't supposed to do that. That was an accident because one of the cameras died. And I just think that that's fucking excellent. That's perfect. Like, again, the trivia behind this movie and everything surrounding the making of this movie is just as good as the movie itself, which kind of just adds to the experience of the movie. But yeah, like, we should talk about the remake a little bit. So they remade this movie. They modernized it. I don't think it landed. I think it's not. It's not.
You hate it.
I do hate it. I think the movie overall isn't good. Isn't bad as it's made. I think everything I've ever learned about that movie makes me hate it to its core. So the biggest change that they did when they remade it is they showed you the witch, and then the director of that movie, whose name I will not speak aloud, went on Twitter. It's Adam Wingard. Yes, went on Twitter, and when people were complaining to him, like, why'd you show the witch? The whole point of the movie is don't show the witch. He went out and he tweeted, actually, you never see the witch in this movie, which is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. What do you we see her multiple times, you dumb motherfucker. Make a better movie. Like, goddamn.
Maybe he means that, like, the things you're seeing on camera aren't, like, her actual form, but either way, that's still dumb.
You're still seeing, like, fuck, no. The most you should ever see of the witch is what she leaves behind. Like,
yeah, the most you should see is a bundle of sticks with someone's remains in it, wrapped up in their shirt, like in the first movie.
Figure made out of sticks, like a symbol hanging from a tree. Like, that fucking rules. They could do...
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Oh, you could just... That's iconic, too. The bundle of sticks hanging from the tree that's making, like, this symbol. And then fucking... I love Josh pulling back, like, oh, fuck, I didn't even see that. I love that so much. Because he clearly
didn't even see this one.
Yeah, like, Mike and Heather were, like, freaking out over it. And he's like, y'all, calm down. He's like, oh, fuck, I don't even see that. Like, I love that so much. But, yeah, like, there is stuff to do with this in this universe. Like, you could make sequels to this that aren't shit. But no one seems to want to, because all they've done so far is make 2 shit sequels to this. And it just, I would love someone with just because I don't think you could do it again unscripted. I think you'd have to script it. I think you'd have to be really creative. I think you'd have to have a really impassioned team on this. And then I think you could do some stuff that was unscripted to fucking terrify them. But no one's ever really hit that mark again. And I think that that's maybe just a credit to everyone involved in this movie and how dedicated they were to it. They spent 8 months editing 8 days worth of footage. Like, that's the ratio on that's insane. Like, just everyone involved in this deserves another $100 million for making such a banger movie.
Provided they're willing to share it with me anyway, then I definitely obviously support that. Yeah, of course. But
we're talking about it.
Also,
we're part of the team now. We get $100 million.
Yeah, we're giving him publicity and on our extremely tiny, obscure YouTube channel with a horror podcast. But yeah, speaking of the cast, if you see, well, of course, Heather Donahue was her name. They again used their legal names in this movie. She has since legally changed it to Ray Hance. If you see Ray Hance, give her a hug because her life was admittedly very bad after this. Her character in it, I guess, angered so many people that she would get like death threats. She had people who like threatened her if they recognized her in public. She went on record saying she spent like some portion of her life just traveling around drinking, like hoping to die. Like, it was very grim for her, and this movie really fucked her up. It's not very fun. She seems to be doing better now. I don't know the woman personally, obviously, but you know, she seems to have come to terms with everything. And she mentioned something that I had never thought about, and I think we were messaging about this, but it was when they were doing the 2016 one that you mentioned by Adam Wingard, and I never thought about how difficult it must be for her to be kind of the main character with her real name and face, because she was saying, like, my entire identity now, since that movie, is to be somebody else's intellectual property. It will always change hands, but, like, I exist as property for, you know, a studio or a production company. And yeah, that's got to be really tough. But she did say that when they approached her about the 2016 movie, they were very aware of how unhappy she was with everything. And they apparently really bucked against the kind of stereotype of like shark-esque producers who don't care about anything but a buck. And they apparently were very respectful. They were like, hey, what can we do? Like, we'll cut your name out. We'll cut your face out. We'll do this. Like, what can we do to where this will be a decent experience for you, to where, you know, we can maybe mention you and have it be part of the story and have it be like exposition, but not really bring you up. Yeah, I really appreciate them for doing that, even though it doesn't concern me in any way, but it was nice to hear. But yeah, if you see Ray Hance, you know, give her a hug.
Yeah, I want to say, like, I don't think Adam Wingard sucks as a person. I don't even think he's necessarily a shitty director. And everyone involved in the remake and the sequel as well were apparently very enthusiastic and put a lot of love and care and definitely care. Like, they were very safe about making sure everyone was well cared for, both mentally and physically, while they filmed those movies. So fucking props to them. I just hate that movie. I think there's just incredible ideas in the Blair Witch remake that are completely fucked over. And that's why I don't like that movie. But I think everyone involved in it doesn't deserve any of my hate. And I appreciate them for the attempt, and for how much they clearly cared about it. I really appreciate everyone in this movie. I do think the second movie is the redheaded stepchild of the, I guess, Blair Witch trilogy, because it doesn't fit with the other two at all.
Yeah, it's like a slasher, I think.
Bad, yeah, it kind of is, and it's bad. Like, there's no cutting corners on that one. It's not a good movie. It's interesting. It's not good, but yeah, like, this movie on its own is incredible. And in the context of its sequels, even, it's still incredible. Like, that's impressive. A lot of movies with really bad sequels get dragged down by those sequels. I don't think this movie has at all.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. I had completely forgotten about Book of Shadows. I maybe would have watched it in preparation for this, but I completely forgot it existed. like you brought it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing. That was a thing that people made and released. I mean, it's got creepy box art. I think like the
It's
image
got
on it is like
great
kind of scary.
ideas. The ideas behind, like, the
Does
first
it?
10 minutes of that movie really got me fucking excited for it the first time I saw it, because it opens with talking about the Blair Witch as a movie, the Blair Witch Project as a movie, and how people are fucking flocking to Maryland, and the town wants people to leave them the fuck alone because there's no real Blair Witch, and there's all these fucking like horror teenage fans who are just flocking up their mountain and fucking ruining the environment for them. And like that on its own is a great way to start that movie. Like, it's meta in the
Yeah.
right ways. It's talking about the thing that happened in real life. I think you can do something with that. And then the rest of that movie is really bad. And that sucks.
And it wasn't too far from the truth, because after that movie came out, the Griggs house was a very big tourist spot there. I mean, I would have loved to have gone and seen it. I would have loved to have gone to that freaking house, especially like at night, on Halloween night or something like that. I mean, it probably would have been packed with people.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have a good atmosphere because there'd be a billion other people there with the same idea. But yeah, so after this movie came out, it became a big hotspot. And the town were going to tear down that house. And the townspeople got together and they successfully petitioned the local government to keep the house up, because they're like, hey, this is like a cultural landmark for us now. Like, this is big. And of course, tourism brings in money. And you're a small town, that kind of thing really helps you out. So they were like, okay, fine, you all apparently really want it. We hear you and we'll keep it up. And then later on, they like went and secretly just tore it down anyway. So fuck them. That's really messed up. Yeah, but also to piggyback on something Prentice said, that I think is a good thing to hang as a banner over the entire rest of the show as long as we do it. What he was saying about like Adam Wingard and other people involved, I want to echo the same thing for, like I was shitting on Imaginary last episode, and like Jeff Wadlow and Jason Blum and all these people. Nothing we say on here is ever personal. Like we don't have, we don't know any of these people. Nothing we say, like we don't have personal issues with anybody. And I might really dunk on somebody's body of work if I think it's like all truly bad, and if I think a movie is really contemptible. I think this goes for both of us, but yeah, if I think a movie is really, really bad and contemptible, I'm going to say it and I'm going to give my true opinion. But like, yeah, none of it's ever personally motivated. Like, you're never going to see us really making personal insults or, that kind of ad hominem kind of shit. Talk about their family or some shit like that. I just wanted to kind of get that out there. But
Our love or derision for movies only extends to those movies. And anything we say that includes a person's name or their actions, unless they're being a bad person, like genuinely, Kubrick deserves real criticism for actually fucking torturing Shelley Duvall and a number of his other actors. Outside of like stuff where someone's genuinely been a bad person, everything else that involves them and what they say or do is a joke. Like I don't dislike Adam Wingard. I've enjoyed a number of his movies. I think that tweet is objectively really fucking stupid and ruins ruins the Blair Witch remake more than it already tried to do itself. But I don't dislike him. I think he's great. I think he should keep making movies. So yeah, that's a really important thing to say. And I think this is a good movie to talk about that in, because Heather Donahue really got shafted by this movie by putting her fucking real name and face out there and just receiving like her Razzie Award was essentially just a crowd reaction, like a crowd-funded reaction to her character. It wasn't like deserved. She won a number of awards for this movie and her performance in this movie that were like positive awards, and then she got a fucking Razzie for it because people just didn't like her character in this movie, which is the point of her character, which sucks. Like, there's a reason people don't use their real names and faces, and there's a reason that fucking reading comprehension and movie comprehension's at an all-time low right now, because people
Media
see
literacy.
an evil character. Yeah, people see an evil character and like, all right, actor's bad, got it, I'm locked in.
Yeah. Like the guy who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
that
he had
kid
to
getting
fucking
like
retire.
actual
That's
death
bullshit.
threats and shit. He retired from acting. So I think that was at least mostly motivated by just not being interested or chasing something else, like getting a degree or something. I think people blow that one
went
out
to
of
college,
proportion. Yeah, thank you. But then there's also like the guy who played Eugene on The Walking Dead. He got death threats in like the one episode where like he kind of at least pretends to like defect to Negan or whatever. Yeah, just don't be idiots and don't fucking send death threats to people over movies because they're not real and they are simply actors, and what's going on in the movie doesn't reflect their real opinions about shit and their real values, etc. So stop being morons is kind of the
TLDR.
the general message. Yeah.
TLDR, don't be a fuckface.
Yeah, it's why for movies they have to have like a 555 number, because I think it's like an old Dave Chappelle bit where like morons watch a movie and then they're calling up, they're like, "Is this Indiana Jones?" And it's like, that's why they have to use completely fake numbers. That's why they have to, because people will dial the numbers.
And this movie also, like, I love the fact that this movie, the credits, like the closed credits of this movie end with like, "Hey, this is fake. This isn't real. There's no Blair Witch." Like, it was a marketing. This is marketing, and it's a movie. It's all fictitious. Please relax. Like, essentially, that's what.
Does it? I've never watched like all the credits. Admittedly, I didn't.
The credits.
I, didn't read, like,
I think in theaters they closed with "None of this was real" or something like that.
Oh. Okay.
On the original one, and then in the closed credits of this movie now it does say like, not based on a true story, none of the events of this movie were factual or something like that. Like, it has some sort of like addendum attached to the end of this movie. I think they made it more explicit after the theatrical release, because people saw the theatrical release and were still like, yeah, no, this was real, I'm going to Maryland. So they had to make it more specific. But yeah, I think just generally, this is an all-time banger. Y'all should go watch this movie.
Yeah, I think that wraps up everything that I have on it. I think for me, this is like a solid 8 out of 10. Like a high 8, close to a 9. It's pretty great. Like Prentice mentioned, it's only about 80 minutes. Really, really short.
It's real digestible as well. I think this... we talked about it a bit last week. I think there are horror movies that are really good that you just struggle to recommend to people because they're a lot and they're kind of what people think of as the worst parts of horror. You think of movies like Funny Games, The House That Jack Built, stuff like that. I think Speak No Evil is a pretty good recent one that like is hard to recommend to people. When Evil Lurks, hard to recommend to people, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of that. This is a movie you can recommend to fucking anyone. It's not gory. It is scary. It's not like chock full of sex for no reason. There's no like, there are certain like safe audiences in horror movies that it's generally taboo to kill. There's none of them being killed in these movies. Like, no kids are harmed. I mean, there's a mention of it, but it's like no kids are harmed, no animals are harmed. Like, generally, this is extraordinarily digestible. And so it's just really easy to recommend to people. And that's why anyone who hasn't seen this movie, go, like, find some friends. Fucking watch this. Get on a couch with some friends. Turn all the lights off late at night and watch this movie. Like, it's fun. This is a banger.
Yeah, I think I have a couple different like Letterboxd lists that I made, and like one is horror essentials where I have like I think 40 in that right now, where they're movies that I feel like if you are a horror fan or if you're getting into horror, they're movies that like you basically have to watch at some point. Even if you don't end up enjoying them, that's okay. You don't have to like any horror movie to be a horror fan. You can hate The Exorcist and be a horror fan. It doesn't matter. But ones where I don't hate. I think we've talked about it.
That's a joke. I think it's pretty good.
It's a good movie. Yeah, Exorcist is good. But ones like, Nosferatu, Frankenstein, The Exorcist, The Shining, Psycho, a lot of ones that are really big landmark titles, ones that changed the game in some way, and ones that just have like huge cultural impact. And I have like 40 in there right now. Maybe I could talk about those either here or at some point. But
I think we should do an episode on that list. I think that'll be worth it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good episode, actually, to talk about what movies we would put in there, maybe what things I would change, because I don't look at it very often. And I think every time I do, there are some that I want to take out and others that I want to add. So that would be a good episode, I feel. But yeah, Blair Witch Project is firmly in there. I have another one that's just like a starter pack, and it's in that one too for that reason. It's not too scary. It's not gory. It's short. It kind of ticks the boxes of what you would want if you're not typically into horror. It's not going to have a really, really disturbing content like a Gaspar Noé film, where you're practically just watching somebody get, sexually assaulted for like 10 minutes or something. Like there's nothing
There are
really
movies, by the way, that
graphic
I
like that.
don't. Yeah, there are movies, by the way, that when I bring up these movies that are hard to recommend, I just don't. There are some that I just don't talk about
Yeah.
because they're like even it on their artistic merit are not worth talking about and recommending in any like media platform. I'm certain Joe has already thought of like two of them that I'm thinking of. Uh, and a lot of them are Italian, so I don't know what the fuck's up with that, but what's going on over there, Italy? But like, this is not that. This is the exact opposite of those movies where it's like I can't even talk. I won't talk about them on the podcast. I'll talk about the house that Jack built and funny games on the podcast. We talked about funny games on the podcast last week. It's just really hard to recommend to someone. And then there's movies that you just can't. You just don't talk about. Even if someone is like, I love these movies, recommend me something that's like this. I'd be like, great, cool. I'll recommend you funny games and House of Jack, but like if that's what you want, you can watch Speak No Evil. You can watch Eden Lake. Have fun with those movies. Like if that's what you're really into, there are movies I'm just not gonna recommend you because they fucking like they're just not worth watching.
Yeah.
like
I'm never gonna recommend Irreversible to somebody.
yeah, for sure.
Like that's a good example. And I think this leads me to when I have a friend, because a lot of people both in the online space and personal space know me as like in terms of their friend group, like the horror guy. And so I have pretty frequently somebody hitting me up being like, oh, I'm going to watch a horror movie. Like, what should I watch? Or like, oh, I have these two things. Like, which one should I pick of these two? And I always like that. I mean, it's cool. And if somebody's just asking me for a recommendation, I will always ask them, do you have triggers? Like, do you have anything that makes you really upset? Like a social issue, whatever, that you really want to avoid. And I think for horror, that often delves into so much of that. I think it's actually a big question that more people should ask. If you're somebody who is very knowledgeable on horror and you have somebody who is not as knowledgeable asking you for a recommendation, I think it's just a very kind and responsible, considerate thing to do.
Yeah. I think like horror is about the taboo. Like
Yeah, exactly.
no one in real life is fucking like think about horror at its most basic, like a slasher. No one fucking is putting on a mask and running around hacking people to death and it's not considered taboo. Like that's horror is about what is taboo. This movie, as much as we're saying it's like easily digestible, it is taboo because it's about people going out into the fucking woods, getting lost forever and then dying. Like that's not something you're supposed to write stories about if you're like avoiding the harder subjects. So you have to be careful about that in horror. If you are like, let's say you're getting into a relationship with someone who doesn't like horror movies, be careful what movies you show them. Be like,
yes,
gently put them into the water. It's like swimming. You don't learn to swim by fucking tossing a 3-year-old into the deep end of a pool and hoping that they make it. You gently ease them in. You give them aids. You, you put floaties on them. You give them goggles so that they can look underwater and feel safe. Like, that's your job when you're introducing people to horror. And this movie is putting a baby on a floating board with floaties on their arms, giving them goggles and a snorkel and letting them kind of push into the water slowly to see what they like. And that's important in this genre. Like this movie is important for that. Even if it didn't do anything else that it did do and deserves the credit for, it's important for giving people accessible horror.
definitely. Yeah, it's one of the most accessible ones out there. It's why it'll always be on my starter pack kind of list. And I think we can wrap up for Blair Witch Project if you had nothing else. Yeah, I think for me it's a good 8, close to 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think this movie is like 2 minutes of content away from being a 9, one way or the other. But for me, it's a very high 8. It's excellent.
Okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna bump it up to a 9. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it the 9. All right.
Hell yeah.
So we're going to get into our game segments, which is gonna be more trivia for you.
Oh no.
Now, so it was a certain day, 6 days ago at the time of recording this. Do you remember what day it was?
Oh,
On
are we
March
doing
8th?
more Oscars?
No.
Was it? Oh, it wasn't St. Patrick's Day, was it?
We're not at that point already to where I'm recycling content for the game. We'll probably get there at some point. But,
I don't know what day it
no,
was
it's
6 days ago. It's this is
March
a spoiler
8th.
for everyone else. This is my finals week. So I've just finished my finals at time of recording this. I don't know what the fuck's going on in the world.
Well, I didn't know you were a raging misogynist because it was International Women's Day on March 8th.
That makes sense.
So this is all about women in horror. I'm going to give you a small amount. I have a list of a lot of popular women in horror from both now and in the past. And I'm going to give you a notable body of work, tell you if they are a director or an actor. You'll see if you can guess the person, and then if you can't get it off that one, I will give you some extra information with some other pieces of their resume, and you'll get a second guess as to who the person is. And again, like the song one, I tried to kind of not seed it, but make it from like really easy to kind of hard. That's kind of the case with the ending and the beginning. The middle is going to be kind of up and down, but
I just want to say, in advance, I'm shit at names, and Joe chose this to fuck me and make me look like I hate women.
I did not.
But I'm ready. Hit me.
I just needed an idea. All right, we were going to try to have a guest. I had another idea for a game. They unfortunately were not able to make it, so I had to do something more spur of the moment. And this is actually based off a Sporkle quiz I made a long time ago. Several years ago, when I was like depressed and jobless, I would make a lot of horror content on Sporkle, which is like a quiz site, and I think news and some other shit. But yeah, I'll link it, and if you're interested, you can play the actual quiz for yourself and see my other stuff on there. I got a lot. I don't know, maybe I'll go back to making shit on there one day. But let's go ahead and get into it. The first one, we're going to start off pretty easy. This is a actress who is most known for starring in Halloween.
Oh, is this Jamie Lee Curtis?
It is Jamie Lee Curtis.
My
So there you
queen.
go. Yeah, so you get how the game works. All right, we're going to move on to our second one.
And okay,
Another actress.
first of all,
Oh, go ahead,
Jamie
sorry.
Lee Curtis is not most known for starring in Halloween. She's most known for being in an Activia commercial.
For horror. Yeah, talking about her gut and her poop. But yeah, we're going to get into our second one. We have another actress. She is most notable for starring in Psycho.
Oh fuck. I can't remember her name. Oh no. They did all of the fucking they did all of the advertising around her as well. I can't remember her name.
Yep.
Last name's Lee
Yeah.
or Lee? I think it's Lee. It's not Natalie. It's one of those old-timey names. Janice? Janet Lee.
Janet Leigh, you're correct.
That took me to Janice. Who the fuck is Janice Lee? That's not a real person. Apologies to any Janice Lees who are listening.
We're going to get into our third one. We have another actress. She is notable for starring in the Aliens franchise.
Oh, now this is an embarrassing one not to remember the name of. Alien's my favorite movie. It's Ellen Ripley. It's the name of the character. And her name is Sigourney Weaver.
Yep, Sigourney Weaver.
Oh my god, that shouldn't have taken me that long. That's embarrassing.
So we are going to... This one already, I don't know if you're going to get this, but...
Oh no.
We have another. They are a director, and they directed American Psycho.
Oh no, I should know this. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
It's already a bit of a harder one. I don't think a lot of people know the name of this director.
Oh fuck. Can you give me the first name, the first letter of her first name?
It is M. M as in Mike.
M as in Mike. Is her name Mary?
It is.
Okay, I'm
See
not
your
gonna get her
phone in front of
last.
You better not be cheating. You're
I'm
not cheating
not.
me on this.
I'm not gonna get her last name, but I think her first name's Mary.
It is. Is that just where you're ending it? You want to tap
Yeah,
out there?
I'm gonna end it there.
Yeah. Prentice is like, I got the first name. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't know if I'm
win.
going to pronounce it correctly. I don't know if I'll pronounce it correctly, but Mary Harron, or Harron, Harron, is the director of
I think it's
American Psycho,
Harron.
and I believe also co-wrote the movie.
They got
Now
a.
we're gonna move
Did they
on.
get an adapted screenplay nod for that?
I, I'm not sure.
I
I
don't
don't
want to say
remember
if they
talking
did
about
or
it
not
in our
either.
Oscars episode, so I don't.
Eh.
I don't think
Not.
so.
I don't think they won, but I don't. They should have got nominated at least. That was a banger of an adapted screenplay.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a movie that got like more popular
That's true. Yeah.
more recently. I don't know if like it was really as popular when it came out in like 2000 or 99 or whenever
Meme
it came
culture
out.
has carried that movie.
Yes. It's definitely blown up into like a cult classic. But we're going to go on to our next one. Another actress. And they are notable for The Vivitch.
Anya Taylor-Joy?
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't have told you any of
think
the
it's
other
Anya
actresses in that
Taylor-Joy.
movie. So is it Anya? 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 Well, Mrs. Taylor-Joy.
Yeah. Thank you. So I was just about to say. Now, another one that we mentioned a lot in the last episode. They are well known for starring in the 2013 remake of Carrie.
Oh, Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yes. Other notable works that Let Me In, Suspiria, and I actually did not remember this when we filmed the other episode. The 2005 remake of The Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds.
That's right, she is in that.
Yeah. She's like Katie Cassidy. She just loves horror remakes, man.
She just pops. Yeah, she just pops up. I mean, get that again. Get that bag. She just pops up in those movies. Gets paid a bunch of money.
Yeah,
Some of them are
definitely.
good. Some of them aren't.
We're gonna get on to our next one. We have a couple of icons coming up. This one is most notable for starring in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh no. Oh fuck. Oh god. Can I get the first letter of her first name?
It is H. H as in hotel.
Her character's name is Nancy something. I can remember that. Is it her name Heather?
It is.
Oh, am I gonna try for her last name? It's not Heather like Locklear, is it?
No, it does start with an L.
Ah, fuck. Is it Lang? Heather Lang?
Part of it. You wanna end it there? Or do you wanna
Yeah, I know the
Heather
sound. I just
Langenkamp.
can't. Langenkamp. Ah.
Yeah. Bit of an unusual name. Kind of a harder one.
An icon.
Yeah. Another one. Another actress. She is notable for being in Friday the 13th.
Are we talking Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes,
Fuck.
I didn't want to give you the character. We are talking about Mrs. Pamela Voorhees,
Oh,
who
I
was
wanna
doxxed
say-
after this movie came out by an irresponsible journalist.
Boo. Fuck. Can I get the first letter of first name? I feel like this is one that's just right there, and I just can't think of it.
It is B.
B. Oh, never mind. It's not right there. Oh no, that was not the
While
direction.
you're
I was going.
thinking, I'll give another fun fact. If I remember correctly, she only did this movie because she needed money to get her car fixed or to get a new car.
Yeah,
one
it
of the
was.
two.
She was in some dire straits.
Yeah.
Oh no, I can't think of it. Her first name wasn't like Beatrice, was it?
No,
Was it Betty?
no, close.
How am I close? What's close? Betty, Beatrice, Betsy Palmer. Oh,
Yes, Betsy
fuck.
Palmer. Well done.
That was embarrassing that it took that long, though. Don't
No,
give me
it's
credit for that.
All right, we have another director. They are responsible for directing the 2021 Candyman requel.
Oh no, she did the Marvels too.
Yep.
I'm not gonna remember her name. She's really good. Fuck.
And that's why we're here, because not enough people know it. Because too many
Oh
people
God,
think
no!
fucking
But
Jordan Peele directed
I
this movie.
fuck. He didn't. Yeah, give her credit because
Yeah.
she is really good. Is it Nia DaCosta?
Yeah. I always
That's
think
not her.
Nia DaCosta. I
Is it
don't fucking
Nia
know.
DaCosta? I
Yeah,
wasn't sure on her first name. I was sure of
it might be
DaCosta.
Nia. I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced,
I don't
so
think
you
I
may
have
be
either.
right. Either way, you got it. All right. A little more of a modern icon. I think you will like this one. She is most notable for starring in the Resident Evil franchise.
Oh, Mila Jovovich,
Yep. I know you like some Mia Jovovich, so do that in there for you.
my queen. She's a delight
All right.
in really awful movies.
Yeah, often the bright spot. My other one was going to be The Fourth Kind.
I would not
Movie
have
that I
gotten it
think
off of
everybody. Yeah.
that.
I think it's a movie that everybody forgets exists, and for good reason. Now we have another icon. She is most notable for starring in The Exorcist.
Ooh. Viewers, he has not edited the amount of silence here while I truly struggle
I
for
may.
this name. Viewers, he might have edited out some silence there as I struggled for this name. Can I get the first letter of her first name?
It is L.
L.
Yes.
God, I can't think of L names. It's not like Leah. Oh no. L. It's not Leah. Lissa. Is it Li? Linda.
Yeah. I was nodding. I have to remember that people can't see me nod.
Linda.
Correct.
Blair?
Linda Blair
Okay.
played Reagan in The Exorcist.
I was like, am I thinking it's Blair because we watched Blair Witch Project?
I didn't do that intentionally, but yeah, it's a good point now you bring it up. Okay, this one we mentioned in the Oscars episode. He is most known for co-starring in Misery.
Oh no. I should be able to think of this right off the bat.
Let's say, don't oh no me.
Oh no. Oh no, I can't. Oh my god, and she's so good. Uh Kathy Bates.
Yes, Kathy Bates. And also joined the cast of American Horror Story. I think going into season 4 or 5 or some shit. I don't know. I didn't really watch beyond the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I watched the first season.
Those first 2 are pretty good. I heard things about Coven, but I just haven't checked it out. Now we have another icon, a little more on the cult side. She is most known for starring in Sleepaway Camp.
Oh no. I'm not gonna get this one. I'm just gonna put that out there in advance. Can I get the first letter of the first name?
F.
F. What names start with F?
Try Frank.
Francisca?
No.
Fanny. When was Sleepaway
No.
Camp? The 80s? Okay, Fanny's probably not a name.
Yeah, I
anymore,
think it was like
maybe 80s.
83. Yeah, it's a cult movie for sure.
What names start with an F? Oh my god. Are you sure? Can we double check?
Yeah, I have it in front of me. You should probably take my word for it.
Last name starts with
R.
R. Reginald.
Robert, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say Roberts was my next one. Roberts.
Oh, no, it's not actually.
Is it R.O.? R.O.
Sorry.
feels right.
Yeah,
Is it Rose? That seemed
correct.
Okay. I'm never gonna get the first name. There's just not a chance. So I'll call it
Yeah,
that.
it's not a common name. It is Felissa Rose.
Felissa. Okay, nope, never. I might have gotten Felicity eventually if I really thought about it. Never was gonna get Felissa.
No, we were talking about Felissa Rose, not Zach Brannigan's horse in that one episode of Futurama. Yep, started as Angela Baker in Sleepaway Camp, the cult classic from, I think 83. One more modern. She's an actress, most known for starring in Scream.
Neve Campbell?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to trick you.
Okay.
Neve Campbell. I want to give you a good palate cleanser. A couple hard ones. All right. This will be one that the lovers of Giallo will like. I don't know if you're going to get this one. Fucking do it anyway. All right. She is a actress and also writer. And she is most known for starring in many Giallo films. Mostly from Dario Argento. She starred in Deep Red, Shock, Inferno, and co-wrote Suspiria.
Co-wrote Suspiria? Okay, so this is your favorite person on the planet. First name, first letter?
D.
Dario.
No.
It's not
Dario
Dario
Argento.
Daria.
Yeah.
That's a female name. Oh, it is. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's actually her first
I'll
name.
take that as a win and stop there. I have no idea.
Yeah, it is Daria Nicolodi, which I hope I'm saying at least somewhat correctly.
That sounds right.
Actually passed away in 2020, so rest in peace, Daria Nicolodi.
Oh, rest in peace.
And thank you for all of your work. And we're going to get on to our next one. Another actress. She is very well known for also being in Alien.
Oh no. I don't know the rest of the cast of Alien besides John Hurt. Oh fuck. And whoever played the android. Ian Holm? I think it was Ian Holm. Might have been someone else. First letter of the first name?
V.
Veronica?
Yep.
Oh, I know this actually. It's there. It's in my brain. It exists. First letter of the last name?
C.
Oh, it's Veronica Cartwright.
Is Veronica Cartwright
Fuck.
also in your favorite horror remake, or I guess one of them, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and also in The Birds?
Yeah, I should have got that. I should have got that one. Shouldn't have needed hints for that one.
Now we have another actress. She is most notable for starring in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Also correct. Sarah Michelle Gellar, nice, well done. Yeah. I'll give you another one of your beloveds. She is very notable in the horror scene. Actress for starring in Final Destination 3. Yes, I also had 10 Cloverfield Lane on here for one that, like, for sure would give it to you. Oh, yeah. No, there's that one woman who tries to get in who, like, bangs on the glass for, like, 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, most notable for.
Yeah, it would have been a real curveball if I just threw that out of nowhere, huh? All right. We have another director. We'll do a couple more of these. Another director. She is most notable for directing the now cult classic, I think we can call it, Jennifer's Body.
Oh no, I should know this.
I mentioned her name, I think, last episode.
Yeah, that's why I should know this, because you've definitely talked about her more than I do. Fuck. There's a K somewhere in that, is the thing. I want to say
Correct.
not Catherine. I want to say Karen.
Yep.
But that's where I draw the line, because the only Karen in Hollywood I can think of is Karen Fukunaga.
Oh, is she, she's
The Boys?
from The Boys, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to just call it there. I'm happy to have
fair.
gotten Karen off the top of my head.
Yep, it is Karen Kusama, who also directed The Invitation, starring Logan Marshall Green, who to me is such an underrated actor. I think he's great,
My
especially
boy.
in Upgrade. Oh, yeah. And also directed one of the segments in XX, which is, to me, not very good.
Which is
All right, we have another
fair take.
director. Yeah. Another director, and they are notable for directing the Fear Street franchise.
Oh shit, I like these movies. Uh, I don't think I could tell you who directed these. I don't think I knew they had all the same director.
It's why we're here.
Yeah, I'm not paying
All right.
attention to women enough. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a disappointment. Uh, oh no. Does she have a name I'd recognize if I saw it somewhere else?
Probably not.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think many people, even big fans of the movies, probably know her name.
Can I get first letter
Let
of
me
the
go and give
first
it to you.
name?
It is L.
L. Larissa. Lynn? Leslie? Is this a classic one? Is it a Lee? Oh, it's a Lee.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna take that as a win. Let's
Yeah.
stop there.
It is Lee Janiak. Directed the Fear Street films.
That's a classic horror name right there. Keep working in horror, Lee.
Yeah, I think she is too. It's good for us because even though I don't love those movies, I did think her direction was quite good in the first one that I watched. All right, we have another one. This one's mainly for me. She's an actress, most notable for starring in Reanimator.
Oh fuck, dude! I couldn't even. I don't think I could tell you who.
You want some other credits?
Yes,
Like,
please.
okay, so we have also From Beyond, Chopping Mall, You're Next, We Are Still Here, Jacob's Wife, and just from last year, Suitable Flesh.
Is this fucking Barbara Crampton?
Barbara Crampton,
Oh,
well done. Love me some Barbara Crampton.
I should have got that before the last one. I did get it before Suitable Flesh. I will say that. I'll give myself a little bit of credit there. I should have got it well before before that.
Now another more modern, underrated Scream Queen. She is most notable for starring in Halloween 4 and 5, as well as the Rob Zombie Halloween remake.
Is this Judy Greer?
No, she wasn't in Halloween 4 and 5.
God damn it. Judy Greer, my queen. Oh fuck, I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis,
Okay, so-
and then the daughter. There's 3 women in those movies. Was it?
So I'll give you the
whoever played
character
daughter?
name. The name of the character in Halloween 4 and 5 was Jamie Lloyd, and she played Annie Brackett in the remake.
Can I get other movies?
She's also
she was in?
been an urban legend. She was the lead in Hatchet 2 and 3.
Urban Legend. Urban Legend. I might know the cast of more than I know. When you say Halloween
Surprising.
4, you don't mean 2018. Do you?
No, I mean like the Halloween
you mean
4 from
regional
like the
Halloween
80s.
4?
Yes, Halloween 4 and 5.
First letter of the first name.
E.
Is it Danielle?
It is
Is it Danielle Harris?
Danielle Harris.
Okay.
My last hint was going to be that I mentioned her in the remake episode that we did, and that she was in the town that dreaded sundown, and not a large enough role, and that was a big part of the reason why I didn't move it on.
All right. Shout out to Dead Meat for reminding me that she existed in Urban Legend, because that's the only reason that I got that name. That was dug out of my brain from that.
Yeah, she's great. Now we have another actress. She is most notable for starring in the Firefly trilogy, House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell.
Oh, there's not a chance. I don't think I could tell you a single person who acted in those movies.
She was also in the Halloween remake by Rob Zombie and The Lords of Salem.
Is this Rob Zombie's wife?
It is.
I'm going to count that as a win. I'm just going to stop there. I don't know
That's
what her
fair.
name is. I don't know what her name is, but I know Rob Zombie
Sherry
puts his
Moon
wife in most
Zombie.
of his movies. Sherry Moon
Yes.
Zombie? That's a dope ass name.
Yes, it is.
That's a fucking rad name. You know what? Hats off.
We'll do another that should be on the easier side.
Okay, thank God.
Actress, most notable for The Ring.
The U.S. remake.
Correct. Yeah, I don't
Oh
even know the
no.
name of the actress in the original one.
My brain wants to say Kirsten Dunst, but it's not. It's another blonde actress from the early
Correct.
2000s, which means it could be fucking anyone. Um,
You want some other works from them?
Paris Hilton. Yes, please.
Okay, we have Mulholland Drive, more recent movie Shut In, and one that you were a big fan of, the remake of Funny Games.
Oh, it's Naomi Watts.
It is Naomi Watts.
Okay. Yeah, she's really good in both those movies.
Yeah, great actress.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right, we'll do like one or two more. This is mainly for me. We have another director. I want to call out all the directors on here because, they're not that many women directing movies even now.
And they
it's
deserve more
kind of
credit.
hard for women out there. Yeah, definitely. So we have a director, and she is notable for Raw and Titan.
Oh, first name's Julia.
Correct. If you can't get the last one, I would entirely understand.
I don't want to mispronounce it.
You're
That's the
going to.
problem.
I'm going to as well.
Yeah, it's like Decorno.
Yeah, Ducournau, I think. I asked
Ducournau? Okay.
Malalia. Yeah, I asked her because she's French, and I was like, "Hey, how do I pronounce this?" And she kind of spelled it out like phonetically, and that's how it was, like Ducournau. And I'm like, "Okay, good
Ducournau?
enough for me.
Okay.
I can blame somebody else if I don't get it right."
Yeah,
and
we can
somebody
blame a
gets mad at
French
me.
person for saying it wrong. That's fine. We can't say it wrong. Another French person could say it wrong.
All right, second to last one. We have another predominantly 80s icon. We're again getting a little more cult. She is very notable for being in The Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, is she she's the best character in that movie. Trash, right? Is her name is the
Yep.
name of the character in that movie? Fuck. Oh, I'm not gonna get her name. Oh no. I shouldn't be able to remember her character's name, but not her name. Can I get other movies she's in? If there are many?
Yes, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Night of the Demons. Has a
Uh
couple of them. She's one. She has like a million horror credits.
First name starts with an L.
Yeah.
I don't
My
think I can
last
tell
hint
you more.
is she gets naked in pretty much everything.
Yeah, I don't think I could tell you more than that. So I'm gonna take first name starts with an L as a win. And remembering that her character's name is Trash because she fucking rules in that movie. I just call
Yeah.
her
It is
there.
Linnea Quigley.
Yeah, she fucking rules.
All right, last one, which is another hard one, but let's give another big shout out to a director, especially when it's obviously easier now, but it was a lot harder back in the day. So even more impressive that she got the gig to direct Pet Cemetery.
Oh, that movie has a director? Oh fuck.
No, I think they just had like the character from Super Mario 64 like flying around with the camera. Is how that movie was made.
So Stephen King's in that movie. And that's all and there's that gnarly scene where they cut the guy's Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
And they fucking run over a kid with a semi truck in like 20 minutes in, and that's what I remember about
yeah.
that movie. I don't remember it having a director. If you'd have told me that that movie was directed by a woman, my first response would have not been, "Oh, that's super cool that she did that." My first response would have been, "That's crazy that they had a director." Oh no, can I get a first letter of the first name?
M.
M, not a Mary. Oh, it is a Mary. Oh, shit. Would I recognize her from anything else?
No.
Oh, fuck. Okay, first letter of the last name.
L.
Mary Lee. Everyone's named Lee in horror.
No. Do you want me to just go ahead and give it to you?
Yes, please. I don't know.
It's Mary Lambert, who I think also did like Urban Legend 2. He has at least one more horror directorial credit. I should have put it on here. But I always remember her from Pet Cemetery. Yeah, we have a lot more. Again, I'll post a link to the actual Sparkle quiz if you were listening to this and knocking these out of the park, you can go dominate that
You can
quiz
make me
if
look
have some
even
free
worse by
time.
just killing it on that quiz.
Yeah, remember, Prentice is paying out $1 to everybody who beats him
Wrong.
via Cash App. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Kill It Off Screen podcast. Thank you so much for watching. In the next episode, we are going to be discussing the movie Pie Wacket. So if you don't want to be spoiled for that, make sure you go ahead and check it out before that episode drops. These episodes come out every 2 weeks, every other Wednesday. If you have any movies that you would like us to watch and possibly review here on the podcast, you can send them to killitoffscreenpod@gmail.com. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.